Aloha. This is my 12th podcast. This is Samana with Unconventional Insights. Today, I'm going to talk about finding balance. We're almost to Libra time, but we all need to find balance. This is the way to health. So, we have different aspects of our life to maintain that equilibrium and that balance. And being in the healing arts for so many years with estheticians and massage therapists, it's, as you know, it's about the skin and how to find balance in the cells so that they're healthy and lush and rejuvenated. And it's finding a balance of water versus the lipids or the healthy fats so that they're nice and plump and juicy. That balance, when we're talking about the pH of the skin, that pH is 4.5 to 5.5. So when we're looking at the body, again, finding a balance of pH, which is potential of hydrogen. So that's actually looking at the acidity versus alkalinity of the body. And that matters, like these cleanses and these different transformative 30-day programs that I put people through and teach life coaches about. All of this becomes very important. I even tell some people to go to CVS or the drugstore and buy those little pH strips so they could test throughout the month to see what their blood, their urine is, their saliva. So the difference of acid versus alkalinity. So the body is slightly acidic in nature, and it needs to be in order to be able to fight bacteria. Yet when it's too acidic, and that is caused through foods that are acidic, so sugars, alcohol, processed foods, fried foods, everything toxic, basically, that's not a clean, lean protein or that isn't a fresh organic fruit or vegetable, it's going to cause toxins or a healthy fat. So our diet, so I'm very big, this nutritionalist part of me for many years, this is one of my things, is part of the self-love, is to learn how to care for your body inside and out. So back to that healthy acid alkalinity. So one thing is I always tell my clients to drink a lot of lemon water. So lemon is a 3 on the pH, which is a fairly acidic element. Yet when we ingest it and drink it in our water or like on salads or however we take that lemon in, that it actually turns alkaline in the body and it helps our blood to stay perfectly balanced. So our blood is somewhere between 7 to like 7.45 on the pH for blood, if that matters, which is healthy. And then for urine, if you're doing your pH strips, that will range quite a bit. So 4.5, which is more on the acidic side, to an 8, which is more on the alkaline side. So that very much matters. Now, a lot of people that are into these keto diets, and the way I eat is very much keto, yet not as harsh, because I have found that women in particular, or certain people after a certain age, like over the age of 40, that keto isn't so good for them to do it traditionally for too long, because it starts to affect their hormone production and how their body balances. So, for instance, so they talk about acidosis, which is when the body's fluids are too acidic. So when that happens, the kidneys and lungs can't keep the pH in balance. So the whole thing about keto is to keep yourself in this certain level of pH, and I think for too long of a time it can be negative to the body. So again, depending on your age, depending on what's happening in your life, and are you under more stressors than normal? Like, are you challenged, in a relationship or looking for a new place to live or a new job, or is something happening that's causing more stressors than just everyday life of paying bills and living? If so, then I would watch, I just watch the way you nourish your body and make certain that you're getting enough. Because as much as I'm not a fan of carbs in too much, because I'm O blood type, so O blood types, we shouldn't have so many carbs, but remember that fruits and vegetables technically are a carb. but just like keep it a certain way. Like you don't want the starchy carbs, you don't want the white potatoes and the carrots and things like that, because that's not as good for you. It's high sugar and it will break down to sugar, and sugar is acid. So we don't want that because it's going to age us and it's going to degrade our cells, and just stick with the vanity part about looking older. And it also tears down the muscle mass. So we need protein, we need healthy things, we need vitality, we need to have our beta carotene and our antioxidants fighting all of those free radicals and keeping us healthy. The other big thing that I inspire people to eat well and keep their body balanced is when they hear that cancer cannot survive in an alkaline environment. Therefore, if we eat healthy, again, lots of organic vegetables, some fruits that aren't too sweet, and lean proteins, our body will stay alkaline. Now, there are other things we need to do to stay alkaline, because I've met clients that eat very healthy, yet they're constantly with negative thought processes. They're constantly raging. They have emotional imbalances that they overreact at times. All of those factors. Or they live in a home environment where there's lots of people, or it's lots of noise or chaos, or just they don't have any like rejuvenation place or their little cave to recharge. So all of those things cause an acid response to the body. So we want to keep that balance at all times. Now I want to move on to the mind. So the mind, this week in my workshop, so I actually teach a certification for people in the healing arts like massage therapists, nurses, estheticians, life coaches, personal trainers, psychotherapists. It applies to everybody. And I put them through this 30-day cleanse, the specific cleanse that I've designed. And then we go through while their body is going through changes, so they don't have the food as the drug, so other things come up. We also get into mental detox, emotional detox, and then we do an integration about how to live well when you're done with this 30 days, how you keep these self-care tools on a regular basis. What are you committing to that you will consistently do? So all of that. But this week we're actually doing, because I have 5 clients that I'm working with right now, we're getting into mental detox. So I want to talk about mind, balancing the mind. So there's a spiritual term called equanimity. And I love that term. It's a Pali term, and basically it means even temper, mental balance, self-control. It's been defined as undisturbed by experiences or exposure to emotions, pain, or other phenomena that may cause others to lose balance of mind. Now, the simplest definition of equanimity that I ever heard is basically to remain balanced without going to either of the extremes. So if we picture that sign for the Libra, that balance sign, and are we in the center? Are we nice and even? Or are we one side is heavier than the other? Are we going to extremes? So we want to keep it even. And how we do that, the only thing I have ever found is meditation. So I have many of my people out there that pray, and I will continue to tell you, meditation is different than prayer. Prayer is talking to God or spirit or your higher self, and meditation is listening. It's letting the mind drop. And what is meant by that, in Chinese medicine, the mind is the same meridian. Like if you go in to an acupuncturist and you're saying that you have insomnia and your mind is racing all the time, or you have ADD and you have all these spinning out thoughts and you can't calm down and you like go from one subject to the other, they will basically use herbs and do acupuncture, acupressure points on the body that are on the meridian of the heart. So in spiritual practice, they say that you drop the mind, meaning that instead of it being up in the brain where it's spinning, and I always say it's like a hamster or a rat on a wheel, that it just goes in circles and circles and circles, those relentless conscious or unconscious thoughts that keep beating us up, keep going after us. So instead of that, you drop the mind, so it drops just below the belly button. That's called the dantian. That's where we hold that's our chi. That's where we hold our life force and our energy. And that also calms us. So if you're ever in a state of trauma or you're triggered or something, I always say my favorite tool is an instant take a cleansing breath, and it's literally inhale, a full exhale. Now there is something correlating to the breath. So they say to watch the breath. So meditation, an anchor to hold the mind where it has something to watch instead of doing what it does and spinning out. If I were to focus on my breathing and notice instantly when I meditate, I'm noticing, is my inhale the same length as my exhale? Or is one or the other longer or shorter? And again, I'm not going to control it. I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to watch that. Because oftentimes when we're in a reactive state or a triggered state, we have shallow breath either way. But oftentimes the inhale is shallow and the exhale is shallow, but the inhale is longer. So if you want to work, let's say you have insomnia issues or you're in a triggered moment and you need to calm down, for you to focus on your breath, and you can inhale and notice the count of the inhale and extend the exhale longer and pause. So there is a 5-7-3 ratio. So I'm going to inhale at the count of 5. I'm going to exhale at the count of 3. I'm going to pause, slight holding of the breath for 3 minutes. And I'm going to do that pacing several times. If I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking a lot about things and I can't go back to sleep, I'll actually do this. Or if I'm in an uncomfortable place and I'm noticing that my breathing is shallow, I start focusing on that, because that actually reboots the parasympathetic nervous system. So it will calm you and soothe you. And it starts to create the mind to be calmer. So now looking at meditation, so meditation is to put yourself in a witness state so that everything isn't personal, everything isn't reactive, that I am just sitting here in my body, feeling my breath, noticing my heartbeat, hearing the sounds around me, feeling how I'm seated on the chair, on the floor, on the bed, noticing the wind. If I'm outside or the slight breeze, I hear the sound of the wind chimes in the horizon. And I'm just aware of everything. So this is what's called cultivating an alpha state. So we have different states that the brain goes into. And an alpha state is the one we strive to be in, because it's the witness state. We're in a non-reactive mode when we are in the alpha state. And it helps us to see when someone is in front of us talking with us. Say we're in a challenging dynamic with someone. And so what happens is our stomach tends to be tight and we're contracted, and there's so much that we want to say and we have no space to hear them because we're triggered, because we're in our own, it's all personal and no one's listening to me. Those are our thought process. But when we do let me take a break before we have this meeting, before we have this encounter, and I go into the bathroom, I go outside, I go somewhere, and even for 5 minutes that I sit there and I just allow that cleansing breath first, that inhale, that exhale, letting go. It is said that the inhale is me saying I take in life, and the exhale is saying I let go of life. So throughout the day, I want your homework to be to notice when you just drop in while you're driving or while you're just watching TV or online. Just notice your breath and notice, do you tend to emphasize more the inhale or the exhale? And I have found clients that don't inhale deep enough, like fully enough, that they're afraid to move forward. There's a lot of fear going on. They don't want to move forward. They're saying, I can't take in life. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. And those that don't focus on the exhale, they're holding on to everything. They're like a toxic sponge, taking on everybody's stress around them and their own, and they won't let go. Again, moving forward, they won't allow newness. So inhale that breath proudly and intentionally. I am taking on life, and exhale. Whatever isn't in front of me, whatever this moment is all that matters to me. I have no power. If it's not in front of me, we have no power to control it, to alter it, to affect it. If it's something we're thinking about, or it's a fear that we're creating that may happen, that's all a waste of time. So meditation on a regular basis, and I tell my clients, set the clock on your phone. I do 21 minutes 2 to 3 times a day. I always do it in the morning before I start my day. If I have time in the afternoon, I'll do it and just drop in, and I always do it at sunset or before bed because I don't want to go to bed filled with stuff. I want to empty the day out, and I just want to be clear, and I want to be present and feel. My thing is to help the planet, help as many people as I can. And if I don't care for myself, I won't be able to listen to others. I won't be able to be present and feel them and understand what they need. I'll be all focused on me and my needs. But I meet my needs. And a big part of meeting my personal needs is I need quiet time, I need meditation, I need clarity so I have time to reflect and integrate the new information that comes at us all day long. I continue to grow and process and move forward and be agile and flexible. And good habits to get into is to set intentions, like to wake up in the morning, you pee, you brush your teeth, and your intention. What is your intention for today? It may be, I'm going to be as present as I can be today. It may be, I just want to feel as much appreciation as I can today. Or it might be, I just want to be happy today. I want to just experience me and not take on anyone's shit. I just want to have a great day. So setting intentions daily works. Journaling your intentions works. Again, journaling I recommend for 10 minutes. That's wonderful. And again, do it on a clock. Anytime there's a new moon, that's a perfect time. You have the universe supporting you. The new moon is the seed of planning something new for the next 30 days. So some people set their intentions on the new moon, but it's not necessary. And if you're in a partnership, you set intentions where you have goals, interactive goals with your partner, and do that regularly. We're doing our relationship, become a relationship architect, and we're doing an intensive, David Garrison and myself. So we decided to change the dates from 4 Tuesday evenings to an intensive during Scorpio time. So if you're in South Austin, we only have 12 spots. And matter of fact, I believe 4 of them are already taken. I'll know in the next day or so. Anyway, so we have 12 spots. And it's any age. It's for singles or couples, but if you're with a couple, we're going to separate you because the only way to have a healthy relationship is to first have a healthy relationship with yourself. So this is about a lot of inner clarity for who you are and what your needs are and what your blind spots are, what you bring to the table, so many things. We actually designed this most brilliant golden relationship contract that we're going to work on through the whole weekend and come up with exercises and various questions and some journaling for self, some interactive one-on-one, some in small groups. And you will have so much revelation, guaranteed. It's lightning bolt questions. And we're offering that the 16th and 17th of November from 10 to 5, including a healthy lunch, of course, that I provide. And it is $400, and if you, while there's still spots left, if you pay before October 16th, it's only $350. So that's one thing off to the side. But anyways, in partnership, as we will say through that weekend, to have agreements where you come together weekly or daily or monthly. But in monthly, you can have, like, what are our relationship goals? So there's always, in relationships, you have your individual goals and you have your relationship goals. And you need to have both of those because you have to have your independence and interdependence and a balance of both of those. I spent a lot of time engaging without resistance with my partner, and it's wonderful, and we keep growing together. And that happens because I spend, or we are to spend, a lot of time on our own, engaging with myself, fulfilling my own needs, being so happy and grateful. So, all of those are very important things. So, the quality of life is increased with intention to stay balanced, to do the self-care tools we need. So another thing, looking at this balance term, so a spiritual term, my teacher, it's a Buddhist term, has often said there is a where they talk about over-efforting versus under-efforting, and that really works for me, that phrasing, because I've noticed in all my years in running businesses and various things, and I tend to be a tasker. I tend to be highly responsible for whatever's in front of me. But I would notice, even in the middle of the process where I'm pushing, I could feel it in my solar plexus. I actually feel it in my heart and my stomach area where it's like tight, where I'm like pushing against this river. I have mentioned this in other podcasts, but where there's that tightness, and I know that I'm over-efforting in that moment. Meaning, if I were to be authentic with myself and check in, I would see if I'm feeling that tightness in my stomach, my core area, my instinctual inner child emotional area, I would know that maybe I need to go sit and meditate for a moment. Maybe I need to stop making the phone calls and the emails and cooking for whoever and doing whatever I'm doing and just stop for myself, take a cleansing breath, and reboot. So that is being aware of that over-efforting, so that pushing. Now, it's important to notice what that feels like in the body and to be kind to yourself that as soon as you notice that, you take that cleansing breath or you do a timeout, or in the middle of a relationship, in the middle of a conversation, whatever you're in the middle of, if you can say, I'm going to do a timeout for 2 minutes and just go and do a breath and just sit there and just check in with yourself. What do I need? Why am I pushing uphill? So the other polarity of that over-efforting is under-efforting. And with under-efforting, you're not seeing any results in your life. Everything's staying the same. You're not committing to anything. Some people are so afraid to commit to anything because they feel it will be the wrong thing anyways, or they're afraid of failure, that why do any of it? And they stay underachievers their whole life. And they're not happy, and their confidence, they have no sense of self-confidence, therefore they have no ability to create any healthy relationships in their life, be it roommates or partners or family or any of that, because they'll always feel that inner critic coming from someone else, and it's their own inner critic that's rampant. So that underachieving doesn't find us well either. So there was a story in one of my meditation retreats. I love this story, and I often have given this with counseling clients. There was a famous Rinpoche who, I don't remember his name, but he is an administrator responsible for a very large monastery of, I think it's like 300 monks. So here is this man, this Rinpoche, and he is, so administration, so all of the tasking, all of the legalities, all of the paperwork, all the office work. So he does that all day long, as well as interacts one-on-one with all of these monks as they're challenged or need direction or guidance. And he's considered quite a strong and proficient practitioner. So someone asked him once, they were interviewing him, and they said, how can you be so in this world so active and responsible and doing all these things and be such a great practitioner. Like this man was known to be kind and non-reactive and totally available in the moment to listen to you. And he said that he has learned to always keep a third attention inside and two-thirds outside. So if I've repeated myself before, this is worthy of saying again. So that means when I'm teaching a class, or if I'm working counseling with a client, or I'm talking to my partner or my friend or my father, as I'm speaking, as I'm eating lunch, as whatever I'm doing, I'm aware of noticing my breath low, dropped below the belly button in the dantian, noticing my breath, a third attention there. So I'm aware of myself, my body, the sensations, how I'm sitting, how I'm breathing, how I'm hearing sounds, what I'm taking in. A third of that attention all the time as I am engaging and talking and tasking and doing the dishes or cleaning. Instead of all of the attention outside of myself, there's 2/3 attention of present and 1/3 inside. And you may think that that doesn't make someone very present. I'll tell you, there's very few people I've ever met that are 2/3 present with you. So that is pretty high. So remember that little term. And now I want to talk a moment about emotional balance. So bringing up the inner child is our emotional body and the balance of being true to oneself. So this is how I look at, if we were to draw a straight line and find a middle point about emotional balance. So let's look at this in terms of relationship. So in relationship, it is continually the underlying question or dynamic when engaging with another person on any level, friendship, partnership, family, student, client, however it is, that your question is how do I get my own needs met while acknowledging another's needs? So that is always what's happening under any confrontation, under any conflict where there can't be a meeting of minds or hearts, is to check in with yourself with that ruthless self-honesty again, and to ask, how much am I fiercely defending my needs and not acknowledging someone else's needs, the other person's needs? That's very common. And then the other way to look at it, which was when I was younger, this was my thing, is I was never an element. I was constantly aware of the other person's needs and feelings and addressing them and matching them and fulfilling them and meeting them, going so to their side that no one was caring for Samana, that who was caring for this person, who was finding the balance of my needs matter too. So it's that wonderful game, and it's not always 50-50. It's actually the question of, how do I organically meet this person where both of us feel that our needs are met, where both of us show up, where both of us participate and have a relationship that we commit to. So learning that balance is very, very important. And so if you're challenged by something, really reflect on that underlying question, your own needs met versus another's needs, and try to see which way you're going to extreme. And ask yourself, what are you willing to do to come back, regardless if it's championing your own needs more or if it's asking how you can help someone else. When I've been in a conflict, I would sit and meditate, and I'd ask Spirit, God, my higher self, I would say, when I really couldn't get through to them, when I was really charged, when it was really hard for me. And I knew what was hard for me, that tight in my stomach, was That was my ego. That was my reactive state. That was my self-preservation. But nothing was about relating or finding resolution in that moment because I wasn't able to. So when I could get to the humbleness of asking, show me their view. And when I said that, it would be authentic with a spaciousness, with an opening. Show me their view. Every single time that my spirit and my heart authentically brings me to that question, I see their view and it makes sense to me and there's understanding. And then I come to them and see their side and I share that. And as soon as they feel they're being heard, because my words are reflecting their view, then there's a meeting of minds, of hearts, and a relationship can begin. Again, wherever it is on that scale, it's not always 50-50, but it can't be like 90 and 10. That's way off balance. So remembering that. Now, what else are we going to talk about? Okay, so talking about finding that balance. So many times I have to bring this in because it's my nature. So we bring in addictions to like compensate instead of addressing the underlying real issue. So we overdrink, we oversmoke, we overeat, we oversleep, or we run ourselves ragged and don't get enough quality sleep. We overwork, we're on our phone or social media too much. So all of these are extremes. And every time we do these things, what we're doing is we're numbing the pain of whatever is up, whatever is in front of us, and it's stopping us in that moment. We're like, I need a break. I need a drink. I just don't want to deal with this right now. But the problem is, if you do that consistently, I'm going to stay stoned, I'm going to stay drunk, I'm going to stay sleeping my life away, I'm going to stay with the phone or the computer in my face, I'm going to do something to not feel, then you will actually stay at that emotional level. So I've worked with many clients with addictions, and people that started smoking when they were 8 years old, smoking pot, and they're now in their 50s, they have the emotional maturity of an 8-year-old. So are they great with kids? They are. Are they playful and spontaneous? They are. But can they have a mature emotional relationship? They cannot, because they never allowed the whole point of challenges in our life is for us to experience what's in front of us to the best of our ability in the moment, and to see when we can what we gain. What is the wisdom? What is the point? I believe all adversity and pain offers that seed, that little golden diamond inside of a teaching. So all pain offers a teaching. I have seen this from my own path over and over and over again. And the stronger I am with self-care tools, the more ability I have to see the phenomena as it unwinds and exposes itself to me, these truths that I never saw it that way before. So this is bringing in the thing where I've had many clients where I'm counseling them and they're frustrated because they've tried to give up drinking and they've relapsed again, or I tried to not be in that relationship but I called them back and I know it's not good for me, and they keep doing these things. And this is what I say: bring kindness to yourself. Know you're doing the best you can in the moment, and look at life not as you failed and had a backslide, but that you're looking at it from another view. So all of life is a review. And I believe that we need to see it from every angle. If we're retrieving the pattern, if we're in the same behavior, instead of beating ourselves up that we're doing this, why not look at it as, what can I see that I didn't see before? this has come back to me for a reason. What is the view that I didn't see before? And you'll see the different intricate angles of it. And when you see all that you need to see, it will be crystallized. It will be right in front of you. You will feel that energy in your body. You will feel that spaciousness in your heart. You'll learn the lesson from it. And I guarantee you won't repeat it. You won't need to drink anymore. You won't need to be in that relationship because you understand it and know it's not for you and know it's not for them. And it helps. So notice when we are blocking our own ability to grow and learn with a mechanism by overdoing it, stuffing ourselves with things, versus, okay, I need a break. I'm not going to deal with this today, but when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to set my intention that I'm going to address this and do the best I can with this, and I'm going to learn from it. So there you go. So now I wanted to talk about, so smoking in particular. I had this question with a client, this issue with a client, and again, I've brought this up. Anyone who's had heard my teachings when I talk about smoking addictions, because my mother smoked for years, so I know this very well, and I studied it. I mean, there was a time in my 20s I used to smoke cigarettes like in a meditative way to understand why people were addicted to smoking, because I just didn't understand it. Anyways, so in Chinese medicine, they say people that have smoking addictions, that it's actually masking sadness and grief in their body. So the smoke, so if they were using it medicinally, the smoke would be to dry the tears. So people that smoke don't do that. This is the excuse I've heard from people that smoke. Well, I smoke because like I could take a break at work, or I could walk away from the family and go outside and just think for a little bit. Like they say it's an excuse to have time alone. And I hear that, and that's valuable to see, but how about having courage to step up your game instead of putting all these free radicals and toxins in your body, making it more acidic, making you look older and increasing your chance of propensity towards disease and cancer? What about you saying at work, I'm going to go take a break, I'm going to go sit and meditate outside, I'm going to go do a timeout? Tell your husband, your kids, I'm just going for a break. I'm just going to do a 10-minute break. And you don't have to be doing something toxic. How about having the courage to do that? The more we experience in life, the more we allow these adversities and we meet them, that perfect balance of meeting it gently and openly. It's helping us create coping skills. It's helping us build our self-confidence. It's helping us gain incredible insights. And when we speak, people trust us. There's an instant trust. We gain an authority in our voice, and people want to hear more from us. They're like, this person knows something. So my whole path, I've had some formal education, but all of my education, I say the universe and God gave me my degrees because I've been doing this so long. First off, I've done my own walk and path. I've done my own healing through meditations, through practices, through diets, through everything that I share for self-care tools. I know it. I know how to maintain balance. I know when I'm dipping down or going to an extreme of one side, how to bring it back to balance. And I very rarely lose it. I very rarely have lost it in several years where I just can't do that. It happens because we're human. But to just keep doing our self-care tools, doing our check-ins, doing our what is happening here, and understanding, like, when we're doing behaviors that we're not proud of, we have to understand that our subconscious is in charge, that there is that rat on the wheel, the mind is spinning, and it is saying a repetitive negative thing. You will never be lovable. You will never be successful. You are ugly. You are old. You are a failure. That tape is constantly in our head. And what we need to do is sit in meditation enough times where we cultivate that muscle, where we learn to control the mind in a sense of directing it. I want it to focus on the sensations in my body. I want it to focus on the rhythm of my breath. I want it to focus on the gentle sounds outside instead of that unconscious tape. And then I get to see, it will reveal to me, my awareness will reveal to me what it is that phrase, that underlying negative critical phrase is, and why it's making me behave this way. In that moment, I can make choices and change it. So blessings and courage to all of you. So a reminder, I do life coaching for $100 an hour or 2 sessions for $150. I do it via phone or FaceTime, Messenger, Skype, so I'm available anytime. You could contact me. My number is 808-283-7587, and I want to do a little pitch for some of my workshops. So I have some SD workshops coming up, advanced trainings in October. On the 7th, I'm doing a microneedling, nano needling if you're in South Austin, and that's $195. That does come with a certification, so we're going to do a lecture for an hour, we're going to do a demo, and then you give and receive a treatment. I only take 10 people in any of these workshops for estheticians because I want it to be very one-on-one. And any of you that read my reviews on my website or any of my other places, you'll see that my students are my students for life and they love me. And I have a lot of integrity and I care about you, and I'm your continual connection from the point you take a workshop with me. On October 14th, I'm doing microdermabrasion with and without crystals, so diamond tip and with salt crystals and oxygen facials. So again, you're going to get those treatments and you're going to do it and receive it and love it. And on the October 21st, I'm doing dermaplaning, and all of those are $195. It takes a $100 deposit to hold your space. I still have some spaces left in all of those. And you could do that. Contact me and I'll show you through PayPal's or so many ways that you can pay me, Venmo, and that's wonderful. Now, my relationship architect intensive, I don't know if I said this earlier in this podcast, but we change it to November 16th and 17th from 10 to 5. It's $400. I think I already said that, but let's say it again. That is with David Garrison. It's going to be wonderful. So you have 2 life coaches, highly experienced, highly dynamic, lots of wisdom, lots of insight. We will change your life. We're taking 12 in that one, and we still have some spots left. So your early bird special, pay your $350 before the 16th of October. And my favorite, which I'm doing this in a concierge format. So I'm doing one-on-one, either in-house or we can do this. Most of my clients are not in Austin. So for now, I am doing, it's called a certification for healthcare professionals, like I said, personal trainers, estheticians, massage therapists, psychotherapists, nurses, all of those, anyone in that field. And it's called an advanced total client renovation certification for life coaches or the healing care professionals. And I am only charging $500 for that. That is a 30-day program. We're going to check in once a week, the same time every week for 2 hours via phone or hopefully FaceTime. I'd like to do it virtual where you see me because there's going to be lecturing and various things. And you're being held accountable. I'm your accountability person where for your nutrition, for your diet, you are going to do my cleanse because everything I'm teaching you for physical, mental, and emotional detox, this is how you're going to coach your clients. This is how you're going to change their life. You could take them to the gym and show them a routine, but you start coaching them one-on-one how to really up their game on every level, and they are going to nobody but you. So, as of January, that goes up to $1,000 for that same certificate. I'm doing a half off right now because it's introductory, and I could only take 10 clients in a 30 calendar day. So right now I already have 4 clients, so I have room for 6 more, and I'll have some more room in the middle of November. If that interests you, contact me. My website is spaluna, spaluna.com. My email is samana, samana, at spaluna.com. And I look forward to, please, please, please share these podcasts with your friends. I want to change the world one person at a time, and you could help me do that. Aloha. Have a lovely day.